the man, Tommy Moffitt, stopping by again here on OTB, ESPN New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Alexandria. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jordy. T-Bob, thanks for having me on.
What's going on, Coach?
A lot of things we want to get to over the next couple of minutes, but I said back in spring when we just had a brief chance to see the team on the field, I think it was 3 practices, the first thing that jumps off is Myles Brennan in pads and how much his body has transformed since he's been in college. Can you just talk about when you get a prospect like Brennan into the program and you look at the project and what you want to kind of do to his body, and now where you have him and kind of the maintenance in keeping him SEC football ready?
Yeah, well, the first thing you have to do is look at their frame and, realistically evaluate how much weight that he can really hold based on the size of his frame, his speed, his agility. And then you have to set a course of educating them, on proper nutrition and prescribe a workout, because the quarterback is a little different. If you have a lineman or a receiver, you just try to pack on as much weight as you possibly can in the short term. But with a quarterback and having to throw the football, there's a lot that really has to go into it, because if you add too much upper body strength, his upper body gets tight, the ball starts flying out of his hand. So it's a little different with quarterbacks, but again, you just look at their frame, you look at their athleticism, their speed and agility, and then realistically try to decide on a number and then gradually put that weight on over time.
When we talk to Coach Ogeron, and it seems like you're very happy with where he is from a physical standpoint, how do you keep him at that level with him being out of the building and then just kind of keeping his weight at that level and maintaining that?
Well, that's the tough thing right now, to try to balance, because no matter where the guys are, whether they're just right down the road in one of the small towns where we have guys playing to the major cities, it's all based on the facilities that they have and the assets that they need to train. And for a while, Myles was actually doing very good. And then the local gym where he was at training, it shut down. So then Myles, like many of our guys, had really nothing except for some resistance bands and some things that we had given them and sent them, right after they left. So it's tough. It's a balancing act. We're constantly texting them, calling them, talking to them, and they have close contact right now with the position coaches. And so together we all try to, do the best that we possibly can, to give them the advice and everything that they need to continue to be motivated also.
Talking to LSU. Oh, sorry, Coach.
No, I mean, it's been tough.
Talking to LSU strength coach Tommy Moffitt about how they are navigating the quarantine while keeping everybody in shape. I want to continue to ask about individuals, Coach. I want to ask you about Jamar Chase. I read a stat the other day, Pro Football Focus College. He was the highest rated player. In fact, only one player achieved a rating above 95 in single coverage. And I want to get the kind of weight room perspective on Jamar Chase. Like, what is it physically that allows Jamar Chase to win those one-on-one battles so consistently?
Yeah, so one has to do with his frame. He's not too tall, and he's not real short, but he's got leverage on a taller defender. And because of his size, he's able to stick his foot in the ground, change direction without getting too high, without getting his pads up. Because, it's just like it doesn't matter what side of the ball you play on. If you're high and the other guy has leverage on you, then he's going to be able to stop your momentum. But then also, he is a freak in the weight room. So for some of the technologies that we have, whether it's force plate or the velocity-based training system perch that we use, the data, the numbers that he puts up are unbelievable. And I've always told him this, and I've always compared him to Josh Reed. And Josh had a very similar stature. Jamal's a little taller than Josh, but they're both built similarly, with having great leverage, and their strength to power ratio is unbelievable.
Wow.
And they're both built really, to some degree, they're both built like running backs. And Jamar is power packed, man. And just a freak in the weight room. It doesn't matter how much weight we put on the bar. The guy moves it so fast. And whether we're squatting, power cleaning, or bench pressing, it doesn't matter. The weight still looks the same, whether it's 300 pounds on the bar when he's squatting or 400 pounds on the bar. The bar is still moving incredibly fast. And that's just the type of DNA that he has. He's phenomenal.
I can hear Coach Moffitt getting fired up.
I'm getting fired up.
Just thinking back to that weight moving, man.
Yeah.
Coach, now, okay, so within that answer, you're talking a lot about some of the analytic systems that y'all use in that weight room. There's a pretty cool article the other day about this new V2 Apollo system that's going to try to combine, the training room's analytics with the weight room's analytics. But could you expound on the weight room side of it a bit?
Yeah.
Like what do y'all do in order to try to maximize that production? How are y'all measuring these things?
Yeah, so as strength coaches, the one thing that we can't do, can't change your DNA. I mean, every player's blessed with a certain amount of genetics. And sorry, T-Bone.
I knew it. I could feel it.
Set him up.
What we try to do, we're not going to change those genetics, but we can enhance the gifts and that he's been given. Plus, we can work on those weaknesses. So the first thing that we do every day in season is we jump on the force plate, and the force plate basically measures force and velocity, but it breaks it down in over 100 variables. Now, we don't look at 100 variables. I don't have that type of mental capacity, but there's probably for each position there's 3 or 4 key performance indicators that we isolate. So we look at the force plate data, and then with this new system that we have, it's called Perch, and it's old technology. You used it when you were here, when we put the string on the bar and you squat up and down.
Yeah.
But now they have it where it's done with a similar piece of software. And hardware. It's a lot like Xbox Connect.
Oh, wow.
So there's a camera that is attached to each rack, and that camera focuses on the barbell. Now, we have to manually enter how much weight is on the bar in the exercise that we're doing, but then the camera automatically adjusts. It zeroes in on the bar, and it measures the velocity of the bar. That's all it does. But then it calculates the force and the power and everything based on the amount of weight that we entered in manually to the tablet that's mounted to the rack also. So you take the force plate data and you look at their strengths, you look at their weaknesses, and then you plan and program exercises and the amount of weight and the velocities of the bar that you want to use to enhance the weaknesses that they may have. And so with for instance, offensive linemen, one of the most important key performance indicators to play the offensive line is power. And so during the workout and at the end of the day, we can look at what exercises and the amount of weight on the bar and the number of reps on the bar for each individual player that develops peak power. I mean, it's like cheating. It really is. It is so much easier today to plan and program for those very specific targets of improvements that we want to make than it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And with the old way, with the tendo and the string that we put on the bar, we would have to manually write all that stuff down, and it was painstakingly painstaking task to do each day. But now it's all done right there on the platform. The coach, the athlete gets immediate feedback, and then at the end of the day, we are able to go into the software, and that's where the analytics take over. And it's a game changer. It's where we once relied on experience and intuition is now taken over by just hardcore evidence-based data.
Wow.
Damn.
LSU Director of Strength and Conditioning, Tommy Moffitt, joining us here, ESPN Baton Rouge.
More
New
than
Orleans.
just a meathead. See, that ain't just like, squat.
Hey, Coach, what about the implementation of the nutrition program? We talk to Chef Johnson here weekly, and what that has done in kind of working with the strength department, kind of the synergy between you and the nutrition center and how that's helped develop the athlete.
Yeah, so that is so there's two things, because you have stress and then you have recovery. So we have the stress part with how Coach O plans practices, how we plan our weight program. Then one of the key components of all of that is the nutrition center and the locker room setup and the way that that's all done. So before, when a guy left, so if we practiced or if we worked out, when a guy left our facility, he took a right. Okay, so I'm talking about where they would go to get their food. So if he pulled out of the parking lot and took a right, that's his first choice. And then he'd go down to the red light on Nicholson. He had a choice. He could go straight. He could take a left and go to the cafeteria, but then he still had to make another right and another left. Or he went right, which was closest down Nicholson to possibly where he lived. So before the dining facility was put in our building, the players had so many alternatives as far as the decision-making process of where I was going to eat and what I was going to eat. But now they walk right out of the weight room, they go to the locker room, and then straight to the cafeteria to eat. And it's been phenomenal. So after every workout or after every practice, before they have food that's available for them, and they're able to go in and, actually choose exactly what they want. So we had this other program, and Bob remembers the late plates. So if you were not able to go to the cafeteria to eat, or if you had study hall after practice, then you would get this late plate, and it would come in a white styrofoam container, and it was cold, and it didn't matter what it was they put in there. It never tasted the same, and it was terrible.
It wasn't great.
But it was all that we were doing the best with what we had to work with.
Yeah.
But now they're able to get a hot meal. And so, for instance, now if a guy, so our team meeting every day during the season, and it's always at 1:30 in the afternoon. So if a guy has class up until 1 o'clock or whatever the class schedule is for that day, then our dietitian, Zach Bennett, can take what he does, he goes into the cafeteria, he makes them a plate, and then he puts it in their position meeting room.
What?
So the plate, yeah.
Wow.
So he makes their plate for them exactly what they want because they know what the menu is, and then he makes that plate for them, and then they go into the team meeting, and team meeting, unless you're on special teams, is generally pretty short. And then you're able to go into your individual position meeting room and eat your lunch while you're watching film with your position coach.
Wow.
And then, the locker room, I can't say enough, and we've all talked about how convenient, the pods are. So you have the multiple stresses. You have academics, you have workouts, you have football practice, but then you have the dining facility and the locker room facility and the sports medicine facility, where now you add the recovery component into it as well, and it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
Well, you wonder how LSU went 15-0. I
you.
mean,
And you go over there,
that
and
attention to detail.
It's
that
like a
you're
think
hearing
tank.
right here.
It's like a think tank.
Yeah.
You got these great minds. Moffitt leading the strength, Ogeron leading the football. I mean, these offensive minds, defensive minds, and they're all in this great facility. Coach, we always appreciate the time. We'll catch up again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Always.
Hey, Coach. I'm going to go eat some Raising Cane's.
Tommy Moffitt checking in.